Hi, good afternoon to you all. I am Shashank. I head the government business in Enterprisedb. We are basically into open source database products and solutions based on PostgreSQL, which is the world-class database with enterprise-class features, and it is the most proven, independent, secure database with features of a commercial database. So when I talk about a real open source database today, if you see, you will not have any open source database which has got features of a commercial database. That is point number one. Any other open source database today, if you see, be it MySQL or anything from Oracle, that is an source technology that is being implemented, but it is owned still by a company which has got a proprietary or a commercial database. So the source code and everything is owned by the company which is having a commercial database. So
What are the benefits that can be derived from open space database?
as I said that our uh, open source database which we promote is actually a community version. When I was saying that an open source technology is even promoted by organizations which are into commercial database, when I say it's a community version, it's owned by the community. The source code is not owned by Enterprisedb, whereas in the case of MySQL, the source code is owned by Oracle. So it is freely downloadable to the community. You can, for not so critical applications, you can use it freely downloadable, and you can even small problems that come up in day-to-day working can be ignored if it is not a real mission critical application. So what we do is, so I will also tell you when we are talking about open source, so we have a service even on a community version, because many projects government of India is running on community version of PostgreSQL, and they approach us only when there is a problem. So what we do is we are giving an insurance coverage on this open source database. What I say is that if there is, see, suppose there are common integrated police application, CORTES application, land records, PDS, which is running on database PostgreSQL on the back end. So there is a front end application which runs on a open source database which is at the back end, where data is stored, it is fetched and things like that. So when I talking about PostgreSQL, in that many times what happens is that customer doesn't take support on that. So when there is a problem even on a community version, you don't know, there is no single point of contact for you. You can't search in the net what is the problem. So that is where we come into picture. We charge a very nominal rate and we give a very professional support, 24/7 kind of support on that community version of that open source database, which is PostgreSQL. And the best part is, see, we are employing 60% of the people who had invented this community version of PostgreSQL. No other organization has. So that is the advantage of our organization.
So, what is your business model? How are you generating revenue?
So our business model is, one is that we are giving support on the community version of PostgreSQL, which I very clearly just now told you. Second is that we have also got a product by the name of Postgres Plus Solution Pack. So what we have done is that on over and above the community version of PostgreSQL, we have built in certain critical features which are there in a commercial database. When you talk about scalability of an application, you need a database which can, today if it is on having a 50 GB of, it can go to couple of terabytes of scalability. Then we have also got manageability features built in. So third feature which we have built in is the security feature. So today if you ask about, people are very scared that open source means that it's not secure, but today we are even partnering with DRDO labs to work on a product. We are developing a product jointly, and so I'm saying is that even defense labs are going for product which is supported by us. So PPSP is the second model which is there, where we build in some features of the enterprise, so we get good amount of revenue through that.
So tell us about some of the e-governance initiatives and projects which you're doing.
So e-governance projects, if your TN Health is one of the biggest project, then commercial tax department is there. Arogya HMIS application in Rajasthan, state of Rajasthan is there. Then we are also doing land records, we are doing EPDS. We are today, so let me tell you in a nutshell that 70 to 80% of the projects, you will be surprised to know, run on PostgreSQL. It may or may not be supported by Enterprisedb, which provides a professional world-class 24/7 kind of support on open source database community version PostgreSQL. But today, Government of India, 75 to 80% of the projects are running on PostgreSQL. So it is a database which is the most widely used database in the country as of now.
Can you brief us with one unique feature about a particular project which you have recently done?
So I will talk about commercial tax department. The customer was logged with Oracle. So when I say logged with Oracle today, Oracle says that if you buy my database and you have to buy my hardware, if you buy my hardware, the licensing will be 50%. If you buy somebody else's hardware, it will be one. So what they have done is they have done a locking of the customer. Secondly, is their licensing policy also is not very stable. They keep on changing. So their licensing is basically on a core based. So today, if I am using say 4 processors in a server, each processor has got 10 cores. Then for one server, 10 cores into 4 processor 40 into zero point 0.5, because for an Intel based architecture they take 50% of the number of cores. So for one server where there are only 4 sockets, you have to buy 20 licenses. Then over and above that you have to give the support charges, whereas in our case it is a socket based licensing only, which is scalable up to 64 cores. So today there is no processor of 64 cores, but if in future 64 core processor comes, our product will take cost of only one license, and that cost is only going to be the support cost, because product we still say we will give free of cost because it is based on a open source technology. So the platform is PostgreSQL, which is freely downloadable. So product cost is always zero. We only take charges of the support cost, and for that also we take charges based on the socket. So what has happened is that customer was shelving a lot of money. It was the application was getting replicated in other districts, taluka levels, and Oracle was taking them to the task. So they came to us. We did the migration of the complete data which was there of the last 5 years into PostgreSQL, because and they saved around 210% of their revenues which they had incurred last year. And so the return of investment was very great, because at the end of it, any customer, if he is buying suppose a hardware application, operating system and a database, if his database costs become 80% of the overall project, it is for us. But when he went for us, the overall package cost, as my database cost as compared to the overall package was just 5%. So it is tremendous. I think it's one of the best technologies which is available today, and people are accepting that, because now they have got a company to catch hold of if there is any problem, even on the community version. The best part is that we are working in a very consultative mode, let me also tell you. So if I am going and selling a component which is just 15 to 20% of the complete buy which is doing on the IT, he's buying a hardware, he's buying an application, he's buying an operating system, he's buying an open source database. My database component is just 10% of the overall cost, but I help him to do the hardware sizing, I help him to do the application architecturing. So we are not just supplying the database, we are working as a consultant with lot of, and we are having a top down approach. See, we are a lean and thin organization, so we have a top down approach. We straight away interact with the top guys and convince them, and the implementation is done by the team which is based out of India. So that is another unique uh, quality of our organization, that we have a localized kind of strategy for Indian market, which is very important.
So, being the head of the government business at Enterprisedb, what were some of the challenges while pitching your product to the government?
Yeah, the biggest challenge which I see is that the bureaucracy uh, who have been into the system for quite long, so they're quite reluctant to make a changeover, because their applications are running on such, so it is related to the citizens of India, and it is impacting the CSAT level. And customer here is the people around, is the masses. So they are very much, I would say, they are quite conservative and going for any newer technology. So that is the biggest challenge. But I think the current generation bureaucracy which has come, they're quite innovative, because they have a lot of guys, their counterparts, their batchmates working for the private organization. So that connect is there. So we are having quite comfortable working with them. So I think in days to come it will be quite good.
And how was your overall experience with the eINDIA?
I think eIndia was a good experience because, as I said, we have a top-down approach. So we had a chance to meet all the people. We had a slot for the presentation, which was appreciated extremely well by the people who are there, the current generation guys who were there. So it was very much appreciated.
Thank you so much, sir, and all the best for your future endeavors and projects which are coming up.